Hey there, bros and broettes. I am Maverick, the unbranded bull. And it's time to sit back and relax, grab yourself a drink, because tonight you're drinking MOs.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin at Mo's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinkin' Mo's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Because despite having almost 200 episodes now, that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass. We're most listening to find audio podcasts too. Today, I'm excited to have with me out of Arizona, Maverick. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, I can't complain too much. Got to be at recent Wrestling Revolver show, Sami Callihan's promotion. So that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Got to have the grizzled young veterans do a little hype video for the channel. So that was epic. And I got some solid leads on people that expressed interest in being on the show. So, like I said, I can't complain.
Yeah, man. Congratulations. This is a success. Good deal. You're close to that 200, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. As of, if I remember right, as of this week, I think I am about 5 or 6 shy of ones that I've recorded.
Nice. Now, I know this is an interview show for you, man, but I got a couple questions on this. I got to know.
Oh, okay. We can, before we get into mine for you, go ahead.
Yeah, but so I know it's a silly question, but this was inspired by Simpsons, right? The logo, everything. I got to ask.
Actually, I had a friend who did the logo part of it, but the name is, well, I do get the reference. It is actually from my nickname in the Navy.
Gotcha. I gotta say, man, what attracted me first to your show, because I've been listening for a while, was the logo. I'm like, oh man, we got a Simpsons podcast, and then to find out it's wrestling, it still worked for me.
But hey, I'm a fan of both. Yeah. So, hell, me and a coworker on our way out, we were saying random Simpsons lines, like, oh God, I forget the name of the episode, but Homer was singing, he's like, we can dance, everybody look at your pants.
The one that gets me all the time is Stupid Sexy Flanders.
Oh God,
just saying that shit randomly, man, it's awesome.
And I've actually used my favorite one in real life. The one where the episode where they were at the air show and Sideshow Bob's threatening to blow up Springfield.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And they're going through the porta potties. And they get to the one where there's Grandpa Simpson standing there, and he's like, this elevator only goes to the bottom, and somebody made an awful mess down there. I actually used that. I forget if it was a concert or waiting for a football game. There was a line of porta potties. I went in, I came out, and I'm like, I have to. And literally everybody waiting was just on the ground laughing.
If we're on the topic of porta potty jokes, man, my favorite is asking somebody exiting, "Hey, did you flush?" And then their face every time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, Simpsons stuff. I knew it because when I came up with the name, I'm like, I wanted it to be kind of like people sitting back, sharing a few drinks, and just shooting the shit.
Yeah. And
And
that's kind of the vibe I got from the show. I like it because it's lax. I know it looks like we're not drinking exciting drinks. What do you got? Diet Dr. Pepper?
yeah,
And I got training here in about another hour, so it's just emergency packs and water.
nah,
It's the
it's all
season, dude.
good.
It's the season.
Like I always tell everybody that just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that the drink has to be alcoholic. Although a good portion of the time for me it is.
Mm. No,
But
I think you've said it before, man. But what's your usual go-to?
my usual go-tos are either the ones that are a little more available to me, Kona Big Wave or Coors Banquet. Those are my
Nice.
two go-to beers. One that I need to get my brother-in-law to bring up because it's actually available in his town, Stone Cold's Broken Skull American Lager.
Mm.
That is fucking delicious.
Oh man. So I've slowed down on beers and ales and stuff to trying to watch the weight. But dude,
Mm.
I miss drinking on the regular because I have a sweet tooth, man. Red's apple ale with a shot of Fireball. It's apple
That
pie,
is
man. Apple
that
pie.
that one or Angry Orchard with that.
Yeah, both are
The,
good.
the, both of those are good. Another drink that I like, Jack and Coke with grenadine. Basically tastes like a Jack and Cherry Coke.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Mm-hmm. Or like what was it? Hawaiian Punch with Malibu coconut rum. It's a
Ooh,
good mix.
I might have to try that one. I have not tried that one.
Mm.
Anything else you're wanting from me before we jump into?
No, man. That was just the itch right there. I had to know what the
No,
Simpsons reference.
I get it because you know what I knew that that would come up from time to time,
Mm.
being the big Simpsons fan that I am. And I actually had a guy, a wrestler slash promoter out of Chicago that I know, that he said that when he saw the name, he was like, it immediately popped him because he thought of Moe's Tavern from Simpsons. I'm like, yeah, I knew that was going to come up.
Yeah, definitely.
But all right. First thing that I like to start off with the guests with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make that leap into the business.
Mm. So, fan. I can't say that I was a fan initially because I want to say my first time seeing wrestling was probably Saturday, flipping through channels, maybe like 98, 99. I think I came across a WCW show on, I think, Telemundo or something like that. And it wasn't even in English. And there was a dude, I don't recall his name, but he would like put his index and middle finger to one temple, and the other side he'd just come down like this to
I'm
the
trying.
ring.
Dang, I am trying to remember because I do remember WCW's Saturday night show,
Mm.
and god dang,
Yeah,
I'm,
I can't recall his name. I heard it again recently once because I was talking about it, but I saw that, wasn't that into it, and probably flipped over to some like Saturday morning cartoons or something until SmackDown, started on UPN here in Arizona, and that was a completely different presentation. Hooked right off the bat. I had uncles who watch wrestling, in their day for like the late '80s, early '90s, and they got excited for that. Was telling me about WWF and watching SmackDown for the first time. Dude, I was hooked because you had the Rock, Triple H, Kane, all these like characters that were completely different from what I saw in WCW at the time. And
Yeah.
dude, like from there, I was hooked.
Yeah, I remember when SmackDown debuted, but it was different for me because here in Nebraska, we didn't have UPN.
Mm.
So for the longest time, I didn't really get to watch SmackDown. I think the first time I got to watch it live as it was happening was actually on a trip to New York City when they still had the WWE New York restaurant. They had the watch parties there. I went to a SmackDown one. That was like the first time. So it was different for me, but I do enjoy the presentation. I love watching back because some of those early episodes, yeah, it was something new.
Yep. And so that's what started it. And dude, like after that, like everybody at school was talking about wrestling. The suckets were happening, and it just blew
Yeah.
up. It's very much a late attitude area, late attitude era kid. Was it a ruthless aggression
Mm.
era? It's what I grew up watching, and I know it's probably not good to say, but I did not listen to a lot of those. Do not try this at home. Just like
Yeah.
me and my brother were we grew up on a farm. And so we'd be down at the corrals, putting bales of hay up in the shape of a ring and just having a blast.
Oh, I did the same thing on a trampoline in the backyards.
Oh, man, that would have been fun too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I remember we, oh, the other fun one that me and my brother did, our parents had a waterbed.
Oh, man.
And I'd have him up in like the razor's edge, and I just onto the waterbed.
Dude,
Good
yeah.
memories.
I remember one time a cousin and I were wrestling and he had choke slammed me and I hit like the metal like frame for the bed. Oh my gosh, so many times
Oh,
got hurt. There was one time we stacked bales of hay pretty high, like 3 or 4 of them. And I did a missile drop kick to my uncle, and then that's the first time I've ever and last time I've ever been winded, like having the wind completely knocked out of you. As
oh,
but good memories.
oh yeah. I can't say I ever got the wind knocked out of me during that, but I do remember during football in high school, probably my first ever concussion along with it too. Ended up special teams. The classmate of mine on one end, me on the other, came up and poof, I got up, but then I walked like a couple steps and
That old Ric Flair drop.
basically, yeah.
Oh man, did you wrestle in high school?
No, my some of my cousins did, and I guess it was the whole staying in the weight classes, and then like me, my weight kind of fluctuates. So when I would, yeah, so I stuck with football.
I got you. I All right. So maybe, hopefully, I'm not the only one who had that initial disappointment when I heard, "Oh, we have wrestling," and then went to class and find out that it's not the one on the TV.
Yeah, nope. I remember like not participating in it, but I do remember that feeling when I would hear, my cousins being in it, and then I go to watch, and I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah, I I get where you're going with that. Now I see the sign in the background, Arizona Wrestling Federation.
Yes.
It's so I love, as part of this podcast, getting to learn about some new places, new people, new promotions. I have been lucky enough to get to talk with some people from some other promotions in Arizona.
Yep.
But Arizona Wrestling Federation is a new one. What do you guys got going on there?
Oh man, so I'm fairly new to, like, I know we haven't gotten to the other question of what got me into the business, and I'll touch on that later.
Oh
But
yeah.
just full disclosure, man, like I am still within my first year of being in the business.
Mm.
And Arizona Wrestling Federation, um, I got introduced to this group, I want to say summer of 2021. And I hadn't seen independent wrestling for a while, almost, geez, I want to say maybe like 2018. Took a break like everyone else during that time, and then came across this. And here, I was coming to shows, and I saw the poster, for the AWF Academy, and I think that's one of the unique things that we offer here that other promotions, some of them do, some of them don't. Training, and at that price,
Mm.
man, $100.
Yeah, because it can be quite expensive at a lot of places.
Yep. Yep, definitely. And so here at AWF, we got a little bit biased. I'm going to say the best wrestling in Arizona. I know you had a couple of guys that were part of our promotion, and they get tested that. And yeah, man, I mean, being here for coming up on the year has been a blast, and I've met some people that I was like 12, 15 years old again, like Chris Masters back here,
Mm.
dude. That was crazy. And so yeah, man, it's been a good ride so far.
Oh, I can imagine. I know, in doing this podcast, I've been able to meet some people I never would have in a million years thought I'd be even in the same room as them.
Mm.
Like, oh God. I got to do a little shorter version of the podcast with Bronson Reed when he
Yeah.
was in between like New Japan and Impact. I Same night I didn't get to record with him, but I was talking with Jeff Cobb. I've met Mike Bennett multiple times. I've, good Lord, multiple times met members of the Rascals, the Second Gear crew, and just people that, through watching independent wrestling and, well, any professional wrestling, it's just been something beyond I ever thought I'd even.
Yep. No, I definitely subside that, man. Were you the first time you met like a star, somebody you saw on TV or somebody you saw as a kid? How did you react to that?
Um, Trying to think back, the one of the first big ones, if I remember right, was prob probably Drew McIntyre. And the first time I was a little tongue tied, but then he was nice. I got to meet Carlito, AJ Styles, and yeah, it got a little easier with time. Like that first one was like, holy crap, you're actually here. And then yeah, now I got some signed figures from people,
Mm.
some like, oh, the two directly behind me, Keith Lee and Swerve.
Nice.
And with the thing with Swerve, and I don't know why I find this so funny with the current way his in-ring persona is now, being one sadistic son of a bitch. Behind the scenes, one of the nicest dudes ever.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. We talk about Chris Adonis, formerly Chris Masters, of that
Yeah.
situation, dude. So the story behind, I had just started here and I was doing ring crew, and I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do or where I was supposed to go. At the start of the day, I show up at the venue, not the gym, to pick up the ring. And I guess it kind of worked out because I call the ring crew lead and I'm like, hey, man, where you guys at? And he's like, we're turning the ring. Where are you? When we need your help. I'm like, oh, man, I'm sorry. I showed up at the venue. He's like, no, that works out. Can you pick up Chris from the airport and just kind of hang out with him for a little while?
Hey.
And I was like, try to keep composure. I'm like, yeah, I could definitely do that. Yeah, yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, man, like the 15-year-old me, because I'm like, dude, I used to pick him on video games, like SmackDown versus Raw. And I'm like, shit, I want to meet Chris. And like the whole time thinking, like, man, I'm gonna do my best to not bring up wrestling because I'm sure he probably hears about it all the time, and
Yeah.
And dude, it was just an awesome time. Got to hang out with him a few hours, and I thank Chris when I see him next time because he got me out of ring crew that night because I had to drive him back to his hotel. So I'm like, yeah, be forever grateful for that one.
Yeah, I've helped set up a few rings, and like, yeah, it can be a bit of a chore for sure.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, man. This stuff's heavy.
Yeah, I tried lifting up a ring post by myself once, and I got it up, but being able to carry it too far, no, not so much.
The 200 plus chairs, I hate it, man. Hate
it. Yeah. Now, we kind of jumped ahead because you mentioned you were going to talk about your start in the business.
Yeah. So for me, man, so the seeds really were planted when I first came to the first AWF show, seeing the poster. And like ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to get in. And this is, was always the dream. But it was like, man, I don't think I got the time. Man, I got, other responsibilities and just kept putting it off. And finally, 2023 came around. I was at the January show and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to do it. Because I had talked to one of the wrestlers here, kind of asked him about it. He's like, there is no perfect time. There is no perfect situation. You're never going to be in the perfect shape for this. So, man, just try it out. And so signed up for class, started off as an unathletic 320 pounds. And dude, man, those first couple of classes were brutal. Like the first bumps, the first time getting suplexed.
Oh, I've not experienced that yet. I've experienced some bumps, and I was walking funny for about a week.
Oh, dude. So after they had me doing the standing bumps for a while, they're like, all right, we're going to suplex you. And I remember somebody locking me up. All right, get ready. And I go over. And they just formed a line of like 10 dudes and suplex after suplex after suplex. And then ended up getting a double suplex. And dude, I remember just looking at my feet for a few seconds, then all of a sudden just, and it was the loudest I've ever heard a bump in a ring. It was so, I was so scared I was going to break the ring because at the time it was 320. And so that was the start. I kept coming back and dude started off as a camera dude. I got the cell phone on the side of the ring crew, came a ref, and then dabbled with announcing. And I debuted at a showcase early November, and dude, that was experience. It was my first match with a crowd. Like, you had your practice ones, but
yeah,
in front of like 50, 60 people it was amazing.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. And then here we go. See what 2024 has.
Hey, now you bring up something interesting that a lot of people don't get, they don't think of, and that's like there's more jobs in wrestling than just the in-ring part. You've had some experience with ref, with ring announcing. I've had really only one time that I got to be a special guest ring announcer, and oh my god, nervous as hell. I remember pacing back and forth behind the curtain like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because before the show, when I got offered the opportunity, I was just like, you're telling me I'm going to get to be in the ring with the microphone. How the hell am I going to turn that down?
Oh, man. So the first time I announced, I was on my way to the venue and fully expected to referee that night. This is what I was usually doing. And promoter hits me up. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to do something you've never done before. I'm gonna need you to announce tonight." Our lady called off. Okay, yeah, I was like, let's shrug it off. We'll play it off. I could do it. And I'm going around collecting everybody's name. Like, what do you want me to say? Because what I've seen other announcers do.
Yeah.
And dude, that feeling you're talking about, I was at the curtain and they're telling, yeah, we're gonna go in like 3 minutes. Rick, get ready. And I'm looking out and I'm like, how many people are out there? Oh, 150. And dude, that's what it said. I was starting to get the shake. Oh, never mind, man. Forget this wrestling thing. Forget it. I'm done. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But we don't got no time for anything else, man. Get out there and start the show. And after a couple of matches and critiques from the promoter, man, it started to come into it. It was a different feeling, man.
I can verify from my one experience that but when you get that bug, it's kind of like, oh God, I just want more of it.
Yes, definitely. Like the first time announcing, I got it out of my system. I can go out and do it. Same thing with refereeing, man. I remember the first time I refed, I was counting. Somebody had a guy on the ropes, and I'm like 1, 2, 3, and I said, "Hey, I'll disqualify you." And the wrestler, he didn't let it slide, man. He stopped, and he's like, "Why? I have until 5. Why?" In front of everybody was berating me, and like I just felt all the blood rush to my face.
It kind of reminds me of when Bryan Danielson back, I believe it was his original Ring of Honor run, when it would be a situation like that, and he would always just look right at the ref and like, I got till 5.
Yes. That was my first and last time ever making that mistake.
Yeah. Oh man. I've always thought it'd be cool to do that, but maybe someday. But yeah, I just remember like kind of like what you said with ring announcing. Once you kind of get in the rhythm, you get a few critiques and stuff, then you kind of start getting in the flow of things. I kind of feel that way with the podcast. Like some of my early episodes, maybe I'm my own worst critic, but you won't find me watching them because I would just pick myself apart. And now I like to feel like, yeah, I'm not perfect, but I like to think with some tips that I've been given, I'm kind of getting my rhythm and all that.
I got you, man. No, definitely. And I think that could apply to like almost anything that you start off doing. The first time you're gonna be hypercritical, and then as time goes on, man, you get your stride.
Oh yeah. Although I do find myself still with like asking some of the bigger names out there because I don't want to go into too much until I get some of them from this weekend confirmed. But there were people I wasn't even technically asking because I thought there was no way in hell they'd even want to do it. I was just talking about running a podcast, and then they were telling me, oh, yeah, just did this. And I'm like, okay. Just me thinking like, oh, God. Like when I asked the SATs when they were first on, I was like, this might be a long shot, but let's see. And then they were in, and off to the races.
There you go, man. The worst that could happen is just no.
Yeah,
You just get that no.
yeah. Somebody once told me in a recording that some of the best advice they were ever given was the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way I've went into it. Now, you mentioned being still young in the business. How has that been going now that you got that first match down and you're gonna be getting more here?
Yeah, I'm glad you said young in the business because age wise, I think I've started pretty late because I just turned 34, and that played into the whole reason I started. Like you said, the answer is always no until you ask, and that was always that question, like, man, can I do this at this age? I caught myself in the mirror, and I'm like, I'm not that old, but time's ticking, and so to answer your question about having the match, similar to you at the podcast, I watched the match and I'm very hypercritical of myself. I still haven't discovered who Maverick is, and I'm working with it. I envision like a Zorro-esque bandito dude, but I'm not really sure who that is exactly yet. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he in between? I'm still discovering that and working my craft in the ring. Now, more than just doing like, the move sets, everything else, trying to understand how a match is put together, how to tell a story that makes sense. And that's one of the biggest criticisms I get in training is what you're doing making sense.
Yeah.
And so try and discover, you know, what my character, what I do, and how I can convey that to a crowd.
Hmm.
So still very much working on who I'm going to be and what I'm going to become.
Oh yeah. No, and that's come up a lot in the podcast when talking about like people's in-ring persona origins is that first year, sometimes couple of years, is a bit of a feeling out process. How do I envision it? How do I see this working? But is it working? What do I got to retool? All that sort of stuff. So I can understand where you were coming from.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then also knowing my limits, at least for now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, that first match, when I did that turnbuckle spot, I thought I broke my ass. It's been almost 3 weeks, man. I landed on my tailbone, and I'm still feeling it.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Yep.
Don't want to be like Sean Waltman when he literally
oh no,
widened his butthole. That Bronco Buster that literally ripped it.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't want that.
Definitely not, man. Definitely not.
Now the thing when doing the podcast, like I said, learning about new promotions, new people, new places.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I guess, not really realizing just how many states have like thriving independent scenes. Like, I know a lot of people with Nebraska even think, oh, people live there. So like people probably wouldn't think too much of an independent scene here. But between here and within like a couple hours, we got some pretty dang good promotions. I mentioned going to Sammy Callahan's promotion. They kind of flip flop between Dayton, Ohio, and Des Moines, Iowa, a lot. So I make it more to the Des Moines stops. But yeah, we got a thriving here. And hell, I remember even talking with people, some that had been, Nevada, Arizona area, that have even gone up to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I know I've been up to Alaska. It's a beautiful place, but some
I
of the
hear it's cold
stuff
up there.
very cold, yeah. And then thinking, man, some of these places are pretty damn remote.
Mm.
And there's some pretty good wrestling shows up there. I've seen some of the posters for them. It's like, holy, okay. And, just not really, I guess, not really thinking when I got started about, you know, all these places that, were bringing in some pretty big names.
Mm.
But,
Yeah. My introduction to the independent scene, I think, happened, I want to say either late 2016, maybe early 2017. And I just happened upon some like advertisement for championship wrestling from Arizona. And from there, discovered there was more. There was like
yeah,
almost 3 or 4 promotions here. And even some lucha promotions I didn't realize are here. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of places to see independent wrestling here.
definitely. And I'm loving seeing it because it just means more opportunities for the people out there, and it not being like it was back growing up where like you'd hear about a wrestling school, but it'd be like 10, 12 hours away. Now, no matter what part of the country you live in, there's a reputable school
Mm-hmm.
probably within, I'd say, no more than 8 hours from a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like for me, the independents were, just something you kind of hear about. I didn't know where to see it, any of it. Now, it's with Facebook and Instagram and all your social media, you can't miss it.
Oh, yeah, totally. I remember I didn't get started on independent wrestling until I was stationed in the Navy in San Diego. And I just, one day, I'm like, you know what? I've heard of these independent shows. I'm just gonna Google something, pro wrestling in San Diego, and then boom, show popped up. I went, and then I just kept going.
Yep.
So, and I've seen some pretty crazy matches. I know one of, and it's still one of my favorites to this day, a triple threat between, I'm going to say it was TJP, uh, Scorpio Sky, and B Boy.
Mm.
And oh my God, yep, still to this day, one of my favorites. And just to think, if I never would have Googled pro wrestling in San Diego, I never would have found it.
Exactly, man. It's crazy how things kind of fall in place.
No, definitely. Now, I have two categories here. One bit of a name game where I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible.
Mm.
And, I give you the name, you give me some quick thoughts on the person. Now, with the experience that you had as a ref, I haven't done this with this category, so I figured it'd be fun. These are
Gotcha.
some famous referees in the pro wrestling business. First one, Earl Hebner.
The GOAT, man. That right there, you think wrestling, that's the first name for referees I think of. Dude
It,
was involved in like everything. And for me, like just recently, I always rewatch that Vice documentary about the Montreal Screwjob with his
oh, yeah.
interview and everything else. Dude, that I always think of Earl Hebner. Dude, like, oh, geez, like so many moments for that guy, but he is definitely the GOAT. And I like how sometimes he feud with wrestlers. Like I
Yeah.
was with him, Triple H, and when he counted fast for Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Another one, he's still going. Charles Robinson, sometimes known as Little Nate.
Little Nate. Oh, dude, yeah, him. Another one I would put like on the Mount Rushmore of referees. whenever I think of that guy, I think of him like booking it down going down the aisle to run to the ring. Like so many
Yep.
memes and stuff for that. It was
Oh yeah.
awesome.
All right. Next one. One not with WWE, but she's doing amazing. Probably one of the more popular referees out there right now. Aubrey Edwards.
I'm actually a fan. I like it. I like how animated she is. I do understand the criticisms about her taking away attention from wrestlers, but I find it entertaining. I
Yep.
really do. And if she
I'm
was doing something wrong for that promotion or for AEW, I figured someone would say something to her, but obviously
yep,
somebody's liking it.
exactly. I'm a fan of it myself. I feel like I can get where some people might say, taken away from the attention of wrestlers. I almost, in a way, think that it's adding something, like the
Yeah.
referee's reaction, like, oh, I think it adds a little something to it. Adds,
Yeah. For me, if every single referee in that promotion was doing, then I think that would be, too much. But
yeah,
with it being just her, it's in its own way somewhat of an attraction.
I I like the way you think about that. Last but not least, I've actually had the pleasure of getting to meet this guy. He was doing work during a World of Wheels signing for Becky Lynch. He was like the WWE's person to go with her. And I asked for a picture with him because I was like, oh my God. And talking about Tim White.
Oh, Tim White. I don't think he's in a lot as in conversation as much as he should be. That dude was around for a long time, did a lot of major matches. Yeah, I like the way he take bumps whenever you get hit. I definitely enjoyed his work as a referee, especially during those when I first started watching wrestling. I want to say he was one of the main refs. And I can't recall if he was involved when the merger with WCW happened, where they had the matches with the referees. If he was involved with any of that stuff,
Yeah, I can't remember. I know a few of them that were. I just can't remember if he was one of them right now.
Yeah, I
Because
want
I
to say
know
he was.
he had, I think his last match that he refed was the Hell in a Cell match where he took a bump into the cage and then that caused an injury that he had to basically retire from refing.
Yeah, I mean that too, man. Sometimes you miss or forget referee bumps. Like I was scrolling and I came across the one with Mike Chioda when he got like shoulder tackled by Shane McMahon, and
Oh yeah.
dude like floated for a little bit before he hit.
Oh yeah. Some of those ref bumps can get kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
My I think the thing that I remember most about getting to meet Tim White though was the fact that I guess he seemed a little surprised that anybody even recognized him. Like there were me and a couple other people asking for pictures, but it's like we recognized him from all those matches, and like I guess we weren't expecting him to be there with her. But when we saw it, it was like, oh my God, that's Tim White. I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty fun.
Oh, dude, that must have been awesome for him.
You know what? I would like to think so. A memory that, ever since his passing, something that I like to think that meant a good deal to him, that, people still remembering him from, the referee days, since, he'd been kind of behind the scenes for a little while. You might be worried, like, do people even recognize me?
Oh, I got you.
All right. Now, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. That's
Nice.
why it's random. All right. So I give you the question. You give me the first answer that pops into your head. Now, you being still young in the business, but you've still been involved with some shows. What has been the craziest in-ring moment that you've been able to witness so far?
Man. So before I got in, I was, a fan at the time. I was at an AWF show and I was watching a match with Andy Palafox and Paradox. And they got into the corner, and Andy power bombed him. I want to say from either you couldn't tell from the top or the second. And dude, that was crazy. I think a Paradox was going to go for a Hurricanrana, and Andy reversed it into just a power bomb. And there's a picture of me and my daughter, my lady there, where we're just looking up like in awe. Dude, it was nuts.
Oh, I can imagine that would be kind of crazy because I've seen it on TV, similar stuff where somebody's going for a Hurricanrana, but then it just gets switched in midair to a power bomb. It's nuts, but to be there live in person and seeing that, that's pretty crazy.
Not only seeing it, hearing it, man. Hearing it was nuts.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That hearing that smack on the mat after, that's got to be nuts. All right. Now, people have often said, when it comes to like big lottery jackpots, like, oh, you can never spend that much money. I always laugh and tell them, you watch me. You give me that much money and tell me I have to spend all of it. Watch me. It'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, if you won a big lottery jackpot and had what I like to call fuck it money, what is something you'd get?
Dude, I would definitely go for that like Brock Lesnar lifestyle of living on my own ranch and just like having a gigantic space for myself. Dude, like I really want to come to a place where I have enough land to have animals and a good living space, good house. That would be like, I would put everything into that.
That would be epic. That definitely, I can see the appeal to it. I know there's been plenty of times that I've definitely thought about it because just the idea of being out there and having all that surrounding you, and I guess the quietness of it just sounds so appealing a lot of the time, for sure. All right. Now, I've had displayed behind me one of my hobbies, collecting wrestling and Funko Pops and, Ninja Turtle stuff. Do you got a hobby that you enjoy, when you're not getting ready for different events for wrestling?
Definitely, definitely. Like, for a long time, video games was a good big chunk of my time for hobbies, man. But I've slowly like switching over to like audiobooks. I catch myself doing a lot of that, my long drives to and from wherever I go. And dude, I like dude, finishing like a Song of Ice and Fire audio, like those books are long. And yeah, man, books, hiking. I got kids that keep me busy. Lady keeps me busy. Stuff around the house. But video games is still there, man. I've actually been picking up the Switch a lot lately, and I haven't really been playing anything new. I've been actually going like way back. Fired up Mega Man Zero from like Game Boy Advance time.
Oh yeah, some of that online store stuff that they've been having on there, some of the retro stuff. Yeah, I've dipped into a little bit of that myself. My wife plays more of the Switch in our household. I have my Xbox Series S, and I've been getting into. I bought it during the the Microsoft Black Friday sale, the new Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
And if I remember, I literally only got 3 achievements left, and I've 100%ed it.
Dude, nice. I I'm looking forward to grabbing that eventually because I want to play that reboot or remaster for Resident Evil 4 and then Dead Space. That one too. I like the horror genre. Like those ones I get hooked on.
Gotcha. I know a lot of people that like that. I've always been the type that I enjoy doing the scaring more than I like it being done to me. As silly as that might sound.
No, I get it. I get it, man. I love it too.
Like the funniest ones are when like you're not even intending on trying to scare somebody. Like you're just walking around a corner and then I guess you just surprise somebody and they're like, oh my God. Those are the funniest ones that always get me because I just laugh and I'm telling the person I was not even trying to do that.
Oh, dude, I love doing it, but I don't like getting scared myself, man. Like for me, if someone scares me, they better do it from a distance because like a fist will go.
Oh yeah, one of those like reaction, bam. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, that's very much me. Very much me. Somebody gets a jump scare out of me, they're like, you better be a little bit away from me because bam. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I had this conversation with a friend of mine that went with me to that Revolver show. You know, people talk a lot about their Mount Rushmores of wrestling. I know I've heard it pop up a lot. Who are people that would be on yours?
Man, well, the eras I grew up watching, you know, for me, the very top, The Rock, man, that dude. One of the main reasons I watched wrestling as a kid. Edge, especially in this rated R era.
Yeah, that was some classic stuff.
I think it was the theme song that got me with that too.
Yeah.
That Metalingus.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad he's still getting to use it.
Yeah, me too. Because I was wondering like what was going to come out to.
Yeah,
you know, if he was going to get something new from them, from Alter Bridge, or if I was going to get something from Rob Zombie, or you know what he was going to come out with. But yeah, The Rock, Edge, Eddie. Eddie was just
Eddie.
You know, enjoyed all of his stuff, and Kurt Angle.
Good, solid choices.
Yeah, I was so bummed that I didn't get to meet Kurt Angle. He had a signing here. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. It would have been so great.
Oh, yeah, that would have been epic. You know, you bring up Edge. I have actually had the opportunity to meet him at another one of those World of Wheels things, you know, where they tend to bring in a wrestler at one point during the one of them during the weekend. And, you know, the year that he was there, I brought a DVD cover. I forget of what year of the Elimination Chamber, but it's the one where on the cover it looks like he's biting the cage.
Yeah.
I got him to sign that. I got it framed. I'm just waiting to display it right now.
Nice. Now, this guy would have made the Mount Rushmore if this situation didn't happen. But I met Mick Foley at a signing. And it was so funny because it was me and the lady. We're going to go, you know, we're in line. And I'm like number 2 to go see him. And she's like, yeah, go up there and see him, you know, by yourself. You know, have your time with him. And like, dude, I was so awestruck. I don't even know what to say to him. I have my book and I'm like, hello, sir. And I hand it to him. And he's just, you know, oh, what do you want me to say? Going through the motions. And I'm just like kind of stuttering, talking to him. And she goes like, I like your haircut. And like he like completely popped for that. He was like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, this," and then that completely stole all the attention from me. And like here I am taking pictures of them, you know, posing with Mr. Sacco and like hugging and then talking about haircuts and Christmas. And I'm like, I'm just the third wheel in that situation.
Yeah, that would be me if I ever got to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I, I, the way I have him built up in my head, if I ever actually got to meet him, I don't know if I'd be able to get a word out. I don't.
I feel you there, man. Yeah, definitely. That would be one where I would have a hard time. But dude, that'd be a dream.
Oh, totally. If I ever got the chance, I'm not passing it up. But I know when I get in there, yeah, I'm gonna be tongue tied like crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Now we kind of talked a little bit about this, but favorite drink for you, whether it be alcoholic, non, or one of each if you want, because I'd feel weird with the name of the show, Light Drinking at Moe's, if I didn't have this question in here.
I got you, man. So alcoholic, covered there. Its usual go-tos like Reds or some type of apple ale with Fireball. But for me, preferably like my go-to, and I kind of think of myself as a connoisseur of root beer, man.
Mm.
Dude, that's a conversation there all of its own. Which brand of root beer you like? For me, I like Barks. That's my go-to.
Barks is solid. Barks is solid. I haven't had one in a while. I'm more of a Dr. Pepper fiend myself.
Mm.
But yeah, my wife tells me I have a problem. I tell her as long as I got some, I don't got a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Now this next one we can kind of go one of two ways here. Best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling, or best advice that anybody's given you so far?
So, I'm still within my first year, but I can talk on this as a student and as someone, that is starting off. There isn't really a perfect time or perfect situation for it. And even you're never going to be in the perfect shape to really get started on this. My mindset coming in was if, I wanted to get healthier and better shape, might as well do it with something fun.
Yeah.
And something that I'll enjoy. And yeah, man, I've lost, a combination of eating better and exercise almost 30 to 40 pounds.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, man, that definitely is awesome. With it too, there's going to be times of discouragement if you do get in. There's going to be times where, you are always our biggest critic. Just keep coming, man. Just keep coming. The hardest thing, man, for me was the drive coming in because I'd get in my head, I'd make it like 20 excuses not to show up.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got to the door and with, the guys, that kind of faded away. And so my best advice is, just come as you are and, try it out. If it's for you, great. If it's not for you, at least you tried it because, it takes a lot of courage to get up here and do this.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. And
yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and advice, that I've received so far, because I take advice from everybody I can, whether they're either just getting in, because you never know where you get pull, life experience from. A lot of the best advice I got is, especially from the coach, is do what makes sense, and remember, you're not here for you and the guy across you. You're here for the crowd. Get them involved. And I try whenever I'm in here to try to figure out ways of getting that connection and remembering, they're out there watching and to get them engaged with it. So that's some of the best advice I've gotten here so far.
All great advice because the big thing is, getting that crowd involved, giving them the people that I've always gravitated towards are those intense individuals that, while we all know the predetermined aspects of it, there's those people that are just so intense and they suspend your belief in a way because you're like, you know what, I know it's predetermined, but God damn, that guy looked like he was about to knock the guy's head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys I gravitate towards myself.
Same here, man. I really enjoy the intensity and I enjoy the realism of those types of characters. And dude, yeah, man, that's what gets you engaged.
Oh yeah, guys like, well, that I've actually got to meet, like Lance Archer. You know, you see like some of his entrances in New Japan, kind of reminded me of Bruiser Brody, where swinging the chain and stuff. Yeah, just intense. And then I got to meet him this last weekend, Brian Keith, the bounty hunter. Oh my god, in the ring, intense as hell, and I love it. All right, so before we get going, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Maverick is AZ. Facebook, you got Rick Maverick or Rick the Ref. Then of course, awf.com. If ever anyone's curious about, taking training classes or interested in the promotion, I can definitely connect you where you need to go. And yeah, feel free to say hi, man. I enjoy good conversation about anything.
Definitely. We'll get all that in the description. Well, that is about all I have. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and best of luck with, keeping out there, and best of luck on hopefully a long career in the business.
Appreciate it, man. Likewise for you, dude. Appreciate what you do.